Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching on YouTube. It's also streaming to Twitter. Today, I'm making interview with Marc De Mesel, famous investor, and especially famous in the Bitcoin Cash community. We spoke a year ago, and so many things changed in this year. First of all, thank you, Mark, for finding time. And today our topic would be investing in the war times because we have a war. More than a month ago, Russia started a full-scale war attack on Ukraine. For those who might not know, the war was going on for 8 years since the annexation of Crimea, but it was a very localized war in the part of the Donbass. There was some bigger war in 2014-15, but then it became localized. But Russia as a threat, it always remained. And now many people did not expect it. And for now, it's more than 1 month. I understand that it will take some time. It might be for a long time. So whenever I have time, I return to the streaming and doing articles, and including about crypto, speaking about crypto too, because now I see that in Ukraine we have a bigger interest toward crypto. I personally consulted some people and people from the military about creating wallets because people want to save value of investment. As so far, the local currency is doing good. It did not fail. There was no big inflation. But of course, people look for the different sources for the store of value. And now, in such hard times, and not only in Ukraine, in the whole world, crypto becomes more important. Do you agree with this statement, and what do you think about it?
Hi, Andre. Yeah, so we did an interview a year ago. It was very popular. Thank you so much. Many people looked at it and got to know me better, and yourself also. And of course, at the time, we got to know you, and you're from the Ukraine. And but in between, I've seen that you've traveled the world a lot, and you really were very focused on the crypto world. And then, of course, now with this war starting in the Ukraine, you're you're totally involved in that now, and probably a little bit with crypto still, but probably this war is really absorbing you. Huh? So yeah, I'm happy to talk more about that. I think that I wish that you were not there, and I wish that you were in a safer place, because I think that's the most important thing here. Making money we can always do later, but being safe is very important and should be first and foremost. But of course, there are many other things at play. Also, I'm not in your shoes that may attract you or decide for you to stay there. We already talked about it personally. Yeah? It looks like I can't convince you about leaving. So I'm curious to hear more about that later. About cryptocurrency, yes, with what happened in Canada first, where accounts were frozen of people that were merely supporting a protest. And then with the war starting in Ukraine with Russia, where many Russians lost also their assets frozen. And even payment systems like SWIFT for international payments, where like a whole country was excluded from that. It shows to people how important cryptocurrency is to give independence to your finances, and to have a means of exchange, a means of payment across boundaries, and even locally, that cannot be frozen. So I think crypto is the fundamentals are certainly improving from that perspective. On the other hand, of course, regulations are there more and more, and that, of course, is also difficult. Regulations really slow down adoption. it can kill it even, but I don't think it's going to be. I Even if the goal is to kill it, like I don't think it will work, because the value that cryptocurrency offers is too high, and the genie is out of the bottle. Even in countries where it's severely repressed, the government can't stop it. For example, China, or where else is it severely repressed? Well, it used to be quite repressed in Russia also, but it seems that they are changing also their tune now with the war about that. So yeah, cryptocurrency, I think fundamentals are improving a lot, and at the same time, the cycle where we are in is also we haven't finished the bull cycle, and so we're still in a bull cycle, and sentiment has been very negative at first with just crypto cycle being a lot longer than before, and people being too greedy and too optimistic about hitting a new bubble and hitting a new peak, but that didn't happen, or it happened, but it's just slow. Um, and so and then of course some bad things happening, such as the stock market being a little bit difficult, and with COVID correcting here and there, and of course pulling a crypto also down, and then with this war the same happened. And so all these events create lots of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market. But just like when you invest in stocks in a company, if the fundamentals are improving, if the company is healthy and making good profits and reinvesting in expansion, if you have such an investment, then you're good in the long term. But of course, in the short term, evaluations fluctuate a lot, and it's the same with currencies. So yeah, but I think fundamentals certainly are good for crypto.
Mhm. Speaking about the cycle, so do you think how long this bull cycle might last?
This cycle, it's been a long time since I did the calculations, so I don't remember the numbers. But my rough estimate would be that over the next year we will peak out. But I said that a year ago also, so I was really wrong with my estimation. But the problem with all these kind of things is like markets always surprise, and so it always does what people don't expect, and so right now people don't expect for markets to strongly recover. There's lots of negative sentiment about inflation getting out of hand, interest rates going up is bad, stocks are overvalued, a big recession is coming globally. Like this, all negative sentiment. And only recently, the fear was there all over the world that we would get into a third world war, with Russia and China versus America and Europe. And so this is all very negative sentiment that has a very has but typically what happens in the markets is that when there's not of negative sentiment, that it surprises to the upside. And so crypto is not done with its cycle, but it's close to being done, because it's been a long time now. The bottom was, when was the bottom? Early 20 no The peak was end 2018, December of 2018, 19, 20, 21. So we're like almost 4 years. In half a year we have a 4-year cycle. So yeah, that's probably somewhere where we hit the peak also. So, and it can all go very very fast. So I would say, yeah, I'm still sticking to my guns here, that we will get a peak quite soon, in half a year to a year, at around 10 trillion.
Yeah, and you are ready to change your portfolio to make necessary adjustments. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you have a 70% in crypto.
Yeah, 80, yeah.
Yeah. So you are ready when you will feel that the bull market is over, you are ready to change your portfolio.
Yeah, I actually just made a video on that, that I would like to be ideally short crypto, but for a small amount, like -10%, -20%, because it's of course very, very difficult to do that, being short something. But if I succeed by having no exposure or a very small exposure of maybe 10%, yeah, that's my goal for the next peak cycle. And that's very, very ambitious, because the previous cycles I've totally failed in that. And I was always at the peak of the bubble at an exposure of 70%, 80%. And so took huge, huge losses once the bear market started.
Yeah, in one of your videos, recent videos, you mentioned buy when there is blood in the streets. Now, unfortunately, we have this situation. We have blood on the streets. So, is it time to buy, and what exactly to buy?
Yeah, this is of course not a really like great thing to hear when you are in a war zone. It seems like opportunistic, but it is actually a sentence that's very famous in the world of investing, and for good reason. Um, when there is negative sentiment, there is opportunity, but when there is like blood spilling, that's not just negative sentiment. That's drama. It cannot get worse than that. And of course this has a major effect on valuations of the markets, like usually during wartime things drop to absolute zero, and that goes for the most valued assets such as real estate and land that normally never would experience such a big uh, price drop, but during war times they do, and it really changes the landscape completely when it comes to what kind of companies that are in that market. And I mean, it's crazy, and I'm curious to hear from you what's happening in the Ukraine there, because I have not really kept up to date about that.
Now it happens that we have certain problems with supply chain, and some goods which you would not expect to be, they are becoming might become scarce and very valuable. For example, one of the first day, starting first day and the next several days, the benzene gas for cars was really a scarcity. So there was like no way you could find it, like very, very hard. And people, of course, people were willing to pay a very high price, maybe 10 times or 100 times more, because people were looking not for the to buy in the big numbers, just for their cars, I don't know, 50, 100 liters. But there was a problem of this. So I don't know, but maybe some people did make profits on this, but it was temporarily, because sometime after the supply and chains adapted, and now we have and such goods like a canister and the sink to pour, they disappeared in the first day. But now I see in the shops they start to appear, and there is enough benzene. Of course it's more expensive than it used to be. There are fewer stations which worked. At some period there was a limit that you could buy only 20 liters. Another thing is that, for example, the price on the real estate rent in some cities of the way in the West, it really rose high, because some of the owners, they decided to make profit on this. But and even some mayors spoke against this and said that it will be such behavior might be punished if you artificially put the price much higher. But at the same time, a lot of other people, they took the refugees for free or for some small amount of money. um, uh, yeah, and there will be another things with certain goods. For example, I remember the power banks just to charge phones, they also all disappeared in the first day. I was looking to buy some to send to the people in the front line, and I checked several stores in different cities, and there was no of them. But this is like simple good, and it's actually not expensive, and usually most of the people had at home one or two power banks. So there are certain particular goods which might still face this scarcity. And maybe I was thinking, maybe if such goods facing scarcity, maybe there is a opportunity to make a production of them. So not if this is something simple. And maybe there are, but also I'm speaking with different investors and businessmen, and most of them are really scared to invest in anything, starting from something real like real estate to some other projects. And what do you think? What they should do? Should they overcome their fear, or should they maybe wait if they are scared? Wait and see what happens.
Yeah, of course, it's difficult call because of course there is always good reason to be scared. You look at the worse; it can always get worse. And if you look at, for example, I don't know, real estate in Kiev, how much percent have prices dropped? Do you know that? Like, is that nothing?
I didn't check exactly. I think that there will be a drop because some people who left for Europe, some they won't return, and some people, especially those who had real estate as investment, and some people had several flats or several houses, so they might need to sell. To sell quickly, and if they need to sell quickly, let's say one of the flats, they will need to put the price lower. I'll
Yeah,
just give an example with the car. I saw Nissan Patrol in a good shape. It's actually Nissan Patrol is the most popular car in Dubai. But we have a few of them in Kiev. We have many Toyotas, Toyota Land Cruisers, but few of Nissan Patrols. The thing which I was checking because some guys needed it for because it's strong car, and at the same time it has 8 places, which is better for evacuation. I helped a little bit with evacuation, but I have a small car. I can take maybe 6 people maximum, 5 people. So it was $17,000. It was for sale in Kiev, and some company was selling it. Now I see it. It appears a bit later in another city in the west of Ukraine. Same photos, same conditions, but now it costs like 26, I think, or
yeah,
27. So somebody found it like as an opportunity for investment.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it depends. Of course, in general, the advice is to entrepreneurs and investors in Ukraine that's in a war zone is to indeed overcome your fear and think about and build the future and invest in things where others don't want to invest. Invest where what people are selling and that they don't want to have right now. But once the war is over, they will want to have again, and prices will go up again, and there will be a shortage. But right now, there's an oversupply, and nobody wants to have it. Um, I would think that should be happening normally with real estate, land, stocks of Ukraine listed companies, because or art even, like luxurious goods in general should be correcting a lot. If they have not corrected a lot, then that's not so interesting, I would say, because it can still happen. Like the war can get worse, and Kiev can become under threat, and then that should happen. That these prices collapse because that's what happens typically under in a war zone. So but the hardest thing is to take the other side indeed. And my advice would be to tell these friends, yeah, that it depends what you want to do with your life. But if you want to be an investor, your job is to buy when everybody is selling, and your job is to sell what everybody is buying. So if indeed everybody is buying these kind of typical Toyota models, or everybody is buying power banks, or everybody is buying diesel, well, you should be selling that because there is a shortage of that. You should find ways to sell that because the prices are also very high, and that means the market is signaling, please help us, and you can make lots of money doing so. But of course, these are not typically things that investors do. This is what entrepreneurs do with these kind of products. That's not investors, but entrepreneurs. But when it comes to investors, it's more about bigger goods, of course. It's a different market. But me personally, I think that prices, there's lots of always politicians try to manipulate prices, but that's not good. You have to let prices run their course, because that's the best for everybody. And so, for example, if people ask high rents because they can, that means that there is a shortage. That means that there's a high demand. If they can ask for high rents, that means they will make lots of money. That's very good, because the next thing they will do is they will build more buildings, because there's lots of money to be made with it. And so the shortage of supply will be solved by high prices. And so for politicians to then say no, that's forbidden, is not a very wise approach. But okay, this is always what happens with politicians, that they get elected, and so what they do is they say things that are popular because they want to get re-elected. And but people are not so smart to know what's good for them. Often they think like, oh, that's good that this politician says that nobody can raise their prices. People think that's good, but actually that's bad for them.
Yeah, it depends from what point of view you take a view. If you look from the point as you explained, that's right, because the prices will they will adjust. They will be like, and also that in the West there's like not only one city, there are many other cities, but there is really a big problem with real estate rent there. So maybe what I was thinking, maybe some projects like a real estate construction in those regions would be good too, of some cheap hotels, some affordable places.
Yeah. But I think, of course, this is also, it's so short notice. But if you to start building homes and stuff, and it's a war, close to a war zone, like that's all very risky. But well, if you think about, if you approach these problems as an entrepreneur, and as a capitalist, then you're actually gonna help yourself a lot more and the world a lot more. And so, if you think as a socialist, then you're not gonna help yourself and you're not gonna help the world. And so and that's very difficult to do, because it's very popular to say like, yeah, here I have 10 homes, you can all get for free in it because there is shortage. You may look, keeps you look good to people, but what you're doing there is basically like destroying your own business, because you don't make any money from putting people for free. Actually, you lose money, and that means that you can't build any more homes, and that means that you're not really solving the problem, not for yourself and not for the world. However, if you do the inverse and say like, actually, my tin buildings, there's 100 people I want to sit in my tin buildings, I'm gonna put the price so high so that like only the people that, from those 100, only the richest 10 can afford it. And because I only have room for 10, so I should ask the most optimal price, what people are willing to pay for it. And if he does that, he's very unpopular, because look how much he asks for his building. What an war exploiter, they will call him. What an opportunist. But actually, if he does that, he makes lots of money and can immediately build another 10 units in the next few months later. And he can really actually solve the problem. So he makes lots of money himself, and he's really solving the problem by building more homes. But you're not popular. You're not going to get popular by that. And that's always how it is. If you want to be popular, well, that's not going to happen as an investor. For that, you need to become a politician and spend other people's monies. Then you can become popular.
Yeah, and in general, of course, this negative attitude towards the war profiteers, and there exist such people. For example, some people which transport people, evacuate people from the dangerous parts, and that's from one point it's understandable that it's very risky. So high price might be adjustable, but some people are doing it for free, just to help others. Some like police and the other services also do it for free with risking their lives, and some people want to profit. But towards the new entrepreneurs who, for example, who work online, who create a new businesses, new supply chains, I think there can be a negative attitude if they are doing something. And on the contrary, there is a tendency, and especially if it will take long time, that if you are not involved in the fighting, then you should work. So not to check the news and sit depressed, but if you are working, you are helping economy because you are spending money and the money are circulating. And that's why I want to ask you, what do you think about the some other opportunities and setting new businesses in these times and investing in this?
Yeah, I think we just discussed that one. I don't see how I can say more about this. But what are you thinking about?
I was thinking about, I mean, that the different businesses, for example, fixing the some supply lines, because of course there are fewer goods, fewer services, and there is some in certain areas the demand is high, but there is just no supply.
Hmm, hmm.
And like I can say, for example, in Kiev now, a few restaurants and cafes work, and there is. I was actually surprised that I saw the statistics that 1.8 million, so almost 2 million, of people remained in Kiev, because now it feels that the city is empty, that you have only maybe few hundred thousand, that the majority. And so for you just to imagine, when it started, I was actually returning to Kiev, and I saw a huge jam of cars which stood for maybe 100 kilometers, maybe more. And this jam, it remained for several days. And from my side of the road, there were cars coming from another side, like breaking the rules. And then I understood that it's even more dangerous to die in such car accident than die from the bomb, because some people were panicking. And that's, I mean, that, for example, in Kiev now, maybe there are good opportunities for different offline businesses too, because if there is a certain amount of people, and people with capital, with money, of course a lot of pensioners remain, but there are also foreigners who keep coming. So I imagine that if the Kiev situation in Kiev would be fine for the next few weeks, so more businesses will start to open.
Yeah, yeah. I think you have, of course, plenty of opportunity there indeed to make money. But the problem I can see here is that people want to help each other and not make money, and then of course it's not really like you're not approaching it as an entrepreneur, as an investor, and you're not going to make money. So I think the challenge here is to like approach it as a business and to look at the opportunities. But of course the risk is then that you're gonna be stamped as a war profiteer, and so you probably need to find the right balance there between making money and also like helping people for free and losing money. But for sure, if you want to like build anything of scale, you will have to respect the money making part, because in the end the world runs on money, and so if you approach it wisely indeed and you see shortages and you try to solve that problem, you need to like I don't know, for example, diesel, but maybe that's not really. You need to find also an area where you can build some expertise quickly, and where you can like you build connections quickly and get things done. But yeah, if you focus on that, I think like that would be like I think the best you can do, much better than actively participating in the war and risking your life. I think much better than to like approach it as an entrepreneur and solve yeah the lots of problems, but at the same time make money doing so, so that you can expand the business and help more people. I think that's a very good idea. Yeah? If you decide to stay there, then I think that would be a very good idea. That's certainly because others don't have that opportunity, because you have to really be there also to do that. So then you're also taking advantage of difficult situation you're in, because only that way you can also really like do it.
Yeah, for example, one of the areas which looks promising is import export, because yeah, all the chains were broken, all the logistics were hurt, and there is a need for something new, and to bring more goods in Ukraine, and also to export Ukrainian goods. Of course, unfortunately, some companies had to collapse, some production closed, but there is the one which remains, and I think that's a perspective, maybe direction for entrepreneurs. Also, because Ukraine is on the news in the whole world, maybe there would be um, special focus for Ukrainian brands too. So this is the direction which I won't follow, because I really have no expertise in this. But I think it looks promising. What's your opinion?
Yeah, indeed, indeed. But I think it's smart to stay with your field of expertise, which is for you is crypto, huh? And there you can solve, because you know how a crypto works. You will find certain problems that you can solve with crypto, huh? And that's probably where you can stand out and really build something of value for yourself, and for the people there. That seems like a very good idea. Um, and how has that been going?
Yeah, well, for example, as you probably know, a lot of crypto communities supported Ukraine financially, and how is the situation among your friends, among your circles, and what do you think, if this big amount of support, maybe Kiev will be one of the cryptocurrency centers in future after the victory? Because here we usually say not after the war, but after the victory. 95 or something percent of Ukrainians are confident in victory. And for example, do you plan personally to visit Ukraine in the future for one of the events?
Yeah, well, it's said that actually during war times, innovation accelerates tremendously, because and we see that also actually globally even. It's very surprising how quickly this COVID hysteria is over the moment that war started in Ukraine, because suddenly people wake up, like war wakes people up, like suddenly they see like, oh my god, this is serious, this is dangerous, this is, and suddenly all the things that they thought was important becomes less important. And but of course they are not in a war zone. In Ukraine it's a real war zone, and so but in a real war zone, typically, yeah, structures collapse, old models collapse, and and typically when they come out, of course it's like a fire of a forest. Only the biggest and strongest trees maybe keep standing, and all the rest is burned down. But it will become a very that those ashes are actually very fertile for a new forest to grow, and there is a much open space for new small things to grow. And so, yeah, I would agree that likely Ukraine, after the war, will see crypto a lot more. For example, these innovations like crypto, but also other things, probably like it's hard to say what exactly, but probably more mobile technology, apps, maybe electrical vehicles. I don't know, but they will have a faster growth there in a place that had a war than in a region where there was no war. So yeah, and yes, I would be happy to visit if the opportunity is there. I really look forward to a world that's more peaceful, and where we can travel internationally again. And this is actually improving a lot right now, thanks to all these COVID sanctions being taken down. Really, it's very liberating. I'm so happy because this was also a nightmare, but of course, that's nothing compared to a real war. So I really hope also that in Ukraine that it is resolved as soon as possible, and that they compromise and find a peace treaty.
Yeah, the COVID disappeared here in one day, so nobody wears masks, and we don't see a lot information about COVID on the news. And fortunately, also on the borders, people are not needed the COVID certificate or test to leave the country. And I think also the Ministry of Digital Transformation did a good job. They created the fund with FTX and Everstake, and that fundraising campaign got more than 70 million of worth of dollars in different crypto. And it's not alone, because there is also Save Life Fund, which is known and reputable, and some more smaller funds. That's why, for example, I thought about it in the beginning, and I recorded a video that we can use NFTs for funding and supporting people. But now it went so quickly that I don't need to somehow collect crypto or something else. The idea which I came with, maybe I'll release some of electronic books of my writings, older and newer, and I'll just put them for sale. In this case, I would also, because I will sell electronic books, I won't need to account or report. But of course, the biggest part of that amount I will use to help people, to help different incentives. I already, during last time, I spent more than I earned, but I continue to work in crypto. And now I think I will focus more, because it's really, the more you take, the more activities you embrace, the more effectively you work. I think so. So I'm planning to do more and more interviews. And first of all, thanks for finding time. And I plan to invite entrepreneurs and crypto people from those projects which donated to help, because this way they help Ukraine. I want to help them also to spread information about them, because in any way there is still a global competition between cryptocurrencies. Um, you are known for supporting Bitcoin Cash, and I'm using Bitcoin Cash all the time. I'm still active on Read Cash, Noise Cash. I'm advising these platforms also for the people who have some time, so they can read articles, write articles. Any other news in crypto which you would like to share? Maybe some interesting projects.
Actually, I have not been following up a lot the crypto world. Um, so yeah, but I would agree that, for example, commodities are expensive, and from what you tell me, it's even worse there, a lot worse there. Certain commodities very expensive. This is something that I'm selling short, meaning I'm borrowing it from others and I'm selling it in the market, and I'm promising to pay them back um, um, later, but I also have to give collateral in exchange so that they're sure to be paid back. That's how it works via a broker. But yeah, I mean, that's something I do, and maybe that you find also. I think it's important to follow your interests. And what I have often done is have certain ideas, but then not do them. And of course, it's good to think things over, but you know. Really successful entrepreneurs, they just do, huh? And they try this, they try that, and that's how they, like, yeah, they do a lot, and they achieve a lot, and so I think, yeah, if you can take that approach, that will go well for you in such a scenario. But I really wish that you would go to a safer place and help and do these things from a distance, because you have many local contacts. You can actually get yourself in a safe place, and a much safer place, and be in contact constantly with people on the ground, and to organize things. I think that would be a better approach. But yeah, this is not something that you prefer to do.
Yeah,
Why is that?
now Kiev is more or less safe place. The big problem is that, and this is something that nobody expected, that in some territories, what Russians do, they don't do war, they do a genocide. They do the genocide in Mariupol, that's the city in the south near the Azov Sea. They are doing it for around a month. There are photos everywhere, and they did it also around Kiev in such cities as Irpin, Bucha, Hostomel. And if there is a chance for the civilians, if there is a chance that Russian forces would approach, it's better not to have this risk to be under occupation, because this is the worst thing possible. But in cities which are more far away from the front lines, that's okay. There is still a risk that they will bomb the cities. Because, for example, I spoke with a friend, a philosopher, whose building was bombed in Kiev. The part of the rocket almost completely destroyed the building, and he survived. Of course, he was in the shock. And in that particular region, in Obolon, I think there was one person died. The building is completely destroyed, and almost all the cities were in one way or another hit or attempted to hit. But now, yeah, there is this chance, which is, if you compare that Kiev is a big city, it's still not so big chance. And speaking about other things like criminals, so the really level of criminality, it much fell. It's also a bit strange because I thought that maybe it will go up usually in such wars, but no, it fell because firstly there is a lot of army and police and just people who take care about safety and security. And there is also a moment of national unity, so probably even the thieves and criminals, they changed somehow the perception.
Yeah. Yeah, I've not actually studied the war there, but I was listening to one interview, and this guy said like that his fear was that Putin in the past during these wars has where was it in another country destroyed the whole city of Dubrovnik, or what was it?
Maybe it was the
Yeah,
Chechnya, Grozny. Yes,
Grozny, yeah. And that he might do that again here, and so that's what comes up for me, that it might be a real risk, is if it escalates there, that they decide to bomb Kiev to the ground, huh?
I think they can do it only with maybe a nuclear bomb, but it will affect also other neighboring countries, including Russia and Belarus. And also, they how can they explain it to their people who are brainwashed by propaganda? Because Russian propaganda machine, it works very strong. So in the beginning, they don't call it war; they call it like a special operation. So they wanted to capture Ukraine, to change some rules, change authorities, and then maybe they wouldn't destroy. But if they destroy the Kiev, which actually is the source of their history, because it used to be 1,000 years ago, Kievan Rus, and a lot of Russians, they like to think that Kiev used to be their center, because at that time the Moscow didn't exist, and Kiev has really a lot of historical places and a lot of international places, a lot of businesses, a lot of capital still, and I really doubt that they could do it, throw a nuclear bomb. but the risk of course exists. But what I also like to say that there are people who risk their lives very hard on the front lines. So for entrepreneurs it might be not so big problem to risk a capital too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was just bringing it up for you. I don't, I wouldn't want to lose you,
Thank
and that's like, yeah, that's what's most on my mind. But yeah, it's very different when you're there than when you can judge from the outside. And I think it depends on personalities also a lot. Huh? But my personality is for sure like. I've watched many documentaries on war, and I said to myself, if anything like that happens in my country, I am not staying to fight. Huh? I am leaving. Because I don't want to lose my life or risk my life, and I will try to get myself out and my family, because it's just like something I don't want to go through. Um, but that's me. Of course, if everybody would do that, that wouldn't work neither. Everybody, you need a certain balance, and so yeah. But for you, it's different. Eh? Like, have you thought about leaving, or in the beginning, or never? Because the thing is, you're also like, you travel, like you were not there even the past year. You were often abroad, and then when it's war, you're there. Like, you should do the inverse. No.
Yeah, just a week because before it started, or maybe less, I was in Dubai visiting some conferences, and then um, I was even thinking that from the maybe economical point of view, that's reasonable for me to stay for some time in Dubai because there were a lot of crypto conferences like AIBC and some other. Yeah, but I returned and I was not thinking of uh, leaving the country. But I would say that in Ukraine we have now a consensus, and this is like a really libertarian society, and we even have the saying that everyone at his or her place. So this is maybe an issue of total mobilization, but not everyone should mobilize to be on the front line fighting. There are certain levels. There is a level of army which has quite a good amount of people. There is a territorial defense. For example, my friend became the one head of the battalions in this territorial defense, and I'm joining his part of territorial defense. And there is also a lot of volunteer movement. There are a lot of people who just providing work, services, help the way they can, help informationally, help by helping other people, helping civilians, helping with evacuation, helping with different things. And even abroad, people are very active, helping informationally and boycotting Russian companies and putting pressure on companies not to work with Russia, to move away from Russia, because that's a big problem that 80% of Russians they support this war, and support their president, and that's very bad, because if there would be the pressure and the economic situation in Russia would be worse, so they can stop and we would save lives, because in any way the war will stop someday, and the more lives would be saved, the better it would be.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult, but I think groups. The problem is you get pulled in that group um, fight, and then it's of course you're going to be part of that. Um, but I like to pull myself out of there, like um, uh, and I think that's also what you need to do if you want to escape these kind of troubles. Um, like I think there is a strong case to be made for trying to avoid such regions for your own self, but also for the world. Um, I mean, in war is very dirty and filthy, and it's on both sides that you will have uh, very nasty things to happen. Huh? It's a very very dirty, and it only stops when people are tired of it, and it can take a long time. Um, and
We also can say that on the both sides, because here the army is protecting Ukraine and the Russians are the invaders. They kill, rape, murder civilians, and Ukrainians don't do it. Even if some people, and that's understandable, that now a lot of people are in rage, they want revenge. But Ukrainian army is at home. We can't do revenge in Russia. A lot of people, of course, they want to burn Moscow, to destroy Russia completely. And someday, by thinking about geopolitics, I think that someday Russia will collapse because it's like artificial empire. It has a lot of regional problems. The sooner it will collapse, the better.
Yeah, but yeah, I can see you're really absorbed into the war, eh? And I think it's dangerous, Andrei. I really like, but yeah, we're we have very very different perspectives. Eh? Yeah, you seem to be really also like you feel very connected to the Ukrainian people, part of that group, and you want to protect your country. Huh? So yeah, I understand that you're in that situation. Yeah, but what I try to like, I think the best I can try to do is to convince you to 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 get out of that. Like I think that would be the best. But okay, it has to fit with you, and you have to like want that too. But life is so short, and it's already such a challenge, and it's not a black and white thing. Like a lot of things are at play that you may only later discover, huh? um, uh, 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 and it's best to just be out of a war zone. Uh, Even if you want to help your own people, I think it's best. But yeah, it looks like I really can't convince you of that.
But now Kiev is safe, and I'm not a hero. I'm not fighting on the front line because uh, I don't have the skills. And as you know, uh, maybe you don't know that when it started, there was such a big lines to for the territorial defense to join it that many people were not accepted. And now I think everyone could do something to help, and even by doing streams from Kiev, doing some informational things and helping, well, doing different. There's like a big variety of things which one can do, and I don't feel a big danger now in Kiev. Of course, I when I speak with foreigners, I say like, okay, come only if you like the risk, because the risk still it is. For example, for you, Mark, I wouldn't recommend to come now. Come maybe for some big crypto event, which we'll hopefully have in future. But there are people who are doing some who just like extreme sports, for example, let's say, who anyway put their life at some small risk. For them, you can come and feel that you are living in the post-apocalypse, or you are living in the military city, because the war is real and it is close. By being in center, you have small risks, but you still have the risks.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Some people, yeah, it's a good comparison indeed. Um, but yeah, I'm certainly not that. I don't do risky sports because I'm a very. I don't want to risk my life. I want to live long. Of course, I do some stupid shit also, but I try to minimize it, and I look for safety first and foremost. Um, so yeah, if you would ever change your mind, I'm very happy to help you find a place that's safe, and from where you can help others in the region.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think we'll win soon, and we'll create some crypto hub here, and Bitcoin Cash will be also presented here, and I hope we can meet here.
Hmm.
Yes, maybe Kiev has already a good infrastructure for doing business, and what we need is a victory, because without the victory, the sky won't open. The there is no travel possible. So of course we need to win, and then we can rebuild the economy even stronger. And
Mhm.
I see the crypto and blockchain as one of the major areas where we will focus.
Yeah, I see you changed. You grew yourself a beard.
Yeah, as I like to say, I will shave after the victory.
So why did you let yourself grow a beard?
Well, because there's this trend that I will shave it after the victory.
That's the thing. Like the
Yes,
others
yes.
do that too. Yeah,
And also it saves time
yeah.
because yeah,
Every
I just don't want to think about it, because when war starts, that some things become like so irrelevant. And
yeah,
even crypto, I was thinking, okay, I studied crypto protocols for 5 years, but now they seem to be not so important.
yeah,
Then after some time comes, and you have some free time, you understand that to continue to do the video is also good, and actually it informs more people about what's going on. And crypto is definitely the future of fintech, of finance,
yeah,
and crypto is helping Ukraine. That's
yeah,
why I decided to do more live streams.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea. But I understood that actually people have no shortage of money in Ukraine because thanks to some app, and that all works very well. I heard. Is that true?
Thanks to what?
An app in Ukraine by the government or something, and people are able to pay each other easily and pay shops easily and
Yeah, yeah. It's well. Firstly, Ukraine is the homeland of two most technological banks, uh, Monobank and Privat Bank. Privat Bank, I think it was the first bank which introduced the mobile payments, so payments by mobile phone, by using your phone number, and the banking system works very well. And there is also the Dia app, which is basically the app which has your documents there. And it was used in combination with banks to distribute funds. So some people who were eligible in the regions affected by war, they got some money. And this is why I was thinking that it is a very easy would be to implement the digital currency for the central bank, like CBDC. Just do these airdrops, and then you can exchange them to hryvnia in the app. Maybe it will be done. But of course, this such help, it is only the small part. For the people, it depends from what people were doing, because 80% of economy stopped. I heard this percentage. I don't know if it's so, but a big percentage. And some people don't have jobs, so it's hurting Ukraine. The banking system works fine. There are shops and the necessity goods. There are places where refugees can get some food for free, get some time for living for some time for free. There are these things, and it's the economy didn't collapse, but it's not in a very good state. That's why also, if some entrepreneurs come start building businesses, they will have a enough labor force, skilled labor force, and also will have some opportunities, what I'm thinking.
okay. Well, great. Thank you for
Thank
reaching
you.
out, Andri.
Thank you a lot. Thank you everyone who watched. Hope to see you soon.
Me too. I hope we can see each other in better times and yeah, congrats for your uplifting. and your strong attitude. I think you are a courageous man, and I really, yeah, I hope things go well for you and your family.
Yeah, thanks for your time, and hopefully speak to you soon.
Okay.